Hello everyone, Mike Rempel from Another Set of Eyes with today's Excel Bytes blog post. Today we're going to take a look at grouping in Excel, but specifically one option that's available for where the outline collapsing and expanding plus and minus signs are located when you use grouping. And I think you're going to find it interesting. So let's take a look. Here's our scenario. I have the 12 months of the year of sales data for three different series of products, A, B, and C. And I have the data summarized or subtotaled at each quarter, which is to the right of the 3 months that make up or comprise that quarter. So what I might want to do is group the different series and then be able to collapse and expand them, and also group and collapse the individual quarters. So how I would do that is highlight the rows I would want to collapse, go to the Data tab, and click on Group. And notice Excel has inserted an outline with a minus sign that allows me to collapse and expand that group. I'm going to do the same for Series B and also for the product Series C. So now with the number 1s and 2s above, if I hit the number 1, it collapses all three. The number 2, it expands all three. Now I'm going to do the same with the quarters, so I'm going to highlight the first 3 months, group. Same with the second quarter, third quarter, and finally the fourth quarter. Now the difference between the grouping of the rows and the grouping of the columns is my header or my summary location. For the rows, the header is above, but for the quarters, the summary is to the right as opposed to on the left side. So what happens is when I collapse all the series of products, I click on the number 1 here, notice the plus signs are actually on the space between each one. So if I had 20 or 30 different groups, it might be confusing as to which plus sign expands which product group. Does this one control this one above, or does it control the one below? When I collapse the quarters by clicking on the number 1, because the summary was actually to the right instead of to the left, the plus signs are logically above the area that I want to summarize. If I click on this plus sign, it will expand quarter number 2. Clicking on that minus collapses that. So how do you control where these plus and minus signs are located? I'm going to go ahead and click the number 2 for both series. And to do that, you click on the dialog box launcher in the outline group. And there are 2 settings: summary rows below detail, summary columns to the right of detail. In this case, both of those are checked. Now, the summary columns to the right of detail is correct for the columns that I've set up an outline for. But summary rows below, I think I'd rather have those above. So I'm going to uncheck that and say OK. Notice now the minus signs have moved up and are now on the same row as the headers. So when I collapse that down, it's very logical that the plus signs are in line with my headers. If I change that for the columns and uncheck this and said OK, notice those have moved far to the left of the grouping. So when I collapse that, it actually is not very logical on the locations of the plus signs compared to the summary of each of the quarters. So I'm going to go back and change that by checking this so that the summary columns are to the right of the detail. Say OK, and now the plus signs to expand each one of the groups is above the section that I'd like it to be, and by having the summary rows below the detail unchecked, that puts the plus and minus signs for the products for the rows in the same spot as where the headers are, so it's logical as to which ones to click on to expand and collapse those rows. And there you have it. I hope you like what you see. If you do like what you see here, please take a minute to share this post on your favorite social network. I can be found on Facebook, Google+, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So I hope you enjoy this. If you'd like to see more, please feel free to stop by my website, excel-bytes.com, and I hope you subscribe. So have a great day and happy excelling.